What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about Rivian. Give you a quick overview of some of the current data points, break it down on what just came out recently associated to the company, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So right now it is up 4.58%. A lot of good momentum, a lot of money getting in as well, similar to yesterday. So far within the first about 20 minutes of the trading day, 9.4 million shares have been traded. 37.3 is the average. So when it comes to today's news, there was this that was announced. So it says that Rivian hires 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗧𝗛, if I'm saying that right, as COO, and it looks like he has previous experience at Volvo. So pretty good stuff. Nothing really crazy to go out and buy Rivian as a byproduct of this, but rather the broader market is rallying because of Apple earnings, as well as due to a lot of the data coming out. Now the market is anticipating 2 rate cuts, 25 basis points each. So of course, especially the whole EV sector, very sensitive to interest rates. So interest rates going down is a very positive catalyst. So that's what's driving Rivian a little bit higher today. Yesterday, though, was pretty epic because of this. Rivian to receive $827 million in state funding. And so it doesn't actually say as far as paying back. So it does look like it is just more of an incentive package. So it is just simply being given to Rivian, as crazy as that sounds. But if you do scroll down here, it looks like Rivian did add roughly about 3.9 billion to the local economy. So it is fair to obviously kind of reinvest that back into Rivian itself. So this is absolutely huge. Would be huge for any company, mind you, but definitely Rivian that is somewhat cash strapped. A lot of people are very cautiously, or I guess worried about them burning through a lot of money. This is amazing stuff. And so with their earnings right around the corner on Tuesday, so on a side note, I'm going to be live streaming that under this channel. This is very good stuff. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. So when it comes down to recent analyst ratings, I'll give you a quick overview of that. So there was one that came out today by Trist Jordan, who does have a 25% success rating, so not necessarily the best. But a lot of analysts that have covered EVs just have horrible ratings, as you can kind of see. So it's kind of the name of the game a little bit, but they did give a price target of $10. So kind of good if you ask me. Looking at the Elliott Wave technicals, it does have a pivot of $7.90. So for as long as Rivian is above that, then it is anticipated to get to this range, so the $10.50 and $10.99. So the news that came out yesterday is just pushing it towards this price a little bit faster than it would have normally. And just to give you a quick overview, especially with their earnings right around the corner. So it looks like for earnings per share, there is 16 analysts that have given a estimate of negative $1.15 per share. And so no real change for that. And looking briefly at revenue, so you do see 17 analysts with a consensus of 1.16 billion. And so it does look like one analyst did recently upgrade their estimate because it went from 1.13 billion to 1.16 billion. But once again, as I've said in the past, yeah, looking at a lot of the metrics is good, but in essence, what 2024 has been very much like favoring is future guidance. So assuming Rivian comes out very optimistic about the foreseeable future and says that they have massive demand, then I feel like the market's going to really take their earnings as a very strong positive. But once again, we'll just have to wait and see. Sometimes the market is just completely crazy and just does whatever the hell it wants. Also, on a side note, I do have a link to Interactive Brokers for all this information to be completely free. So definitely highly recommend you guys taking advantage of that. Link in the description below and also the comments. But moving on, let's talk on some data. Right now, those shorts are hesitant about today's news or about today's screen day because they are increasing 128,000 shares, which in theory it's kind of a drop in the bucket, but 20.34% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 143.01 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of borrow average is 1.06, and then utilization 75.84%. So it is interesting the fact that Rivian is essentially at all-time high short interest. And you did have that analyst that was, I think I gave a rating 2 weeks ago, 2.5, something like that. And they did say that Rivian was a squeeze. So you never know, with some positive guidance from their upcoming earnings, you could see a very nice reduction in, obviously, shorts. It's kind of bold to say that a squeeze would occur, but I do feel that if their earnings is somewhat positive, just a reduction in shorts is somewhat natural. But moving on, looking at options, again, the market's been only open about 20 something minutes. So 2.13 million in calls, 354 in puts. And sentiment wise, most of the options are just correlated around the 10 to 10.50 strike price, and it's just to collect premiums. So this is why a majority of them are somewhat neutral. So nothing really crazy, but of the call options that are being purchased, there's a consensus for it to be above 10.50 by the end of next week. And so that does encumber their earnings. So kind of just be aware that 10.50 is anticipated. And then looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub, looks like 8.50 post their earnings. So kind of opposite extremes. You do see big money looking at Rivian today. So these are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. So most likely a lot of this is the same institution, just given how, I guess, the premium being the same. So 2.03 million, 2.03, 1 million, 4.07. So big money is really looking at Rivian. And then aside from that, dark pool is very popular. So these are some of the transactions that have occurred so far today on the dark pool. Dark pool, like I've said, is very much linked to shorting and just large institutions. So we'll just have to sit tight on and wait to see what does come out from them. But right now with it at $10.21, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. And as you can kind of see, the gap between these fib levels are very, very wide. So anticipate a hell of a lot of volatility for the foreseeable future. But then again, if you have invested in Rivian, then you kind of would know that by now. It's a very volatile stock. But regardless, $10.53 is a very strong target, and that'll be the next strong resistance point. I don't anticipate that being touched today. It kind of had a nice run, but it looks like today is consolidating somewhat. But $9.43 will be that next strong support. Similarly, I don't really see that being touched whatsoever today. So ultimately, kind of just stuck in limbo right here. But looking on the actual chart, so it did attempt to run up above this 50-day moving average, and it looks like no dice. In the past, Rivian has always struggled, similar to Lucid, which again, I do cover quite a lot under the channel, above this 50-day moving average. So Rivian's just struggling a little bit, and it did bounce off of that, so that's why it's consolidating. You do see stochastic very bullish, so the white line above the red, but at the same time it is at 73, which is considered overbought. So the first sign of weakness, so let's say their earnings is somewhat bad, then you are going to see a significant pullback, and maybe that is why the put options are being purchased around the 850 strike price. And then aside from that, retail has absolutely been falling in love with Rivian once again and getting back in over this last couple days. It looks like somewhat FOMO, if that makes sense. But still, Rivian is a very interesting stock, and as I said, I really do like it. It's a very big contender against Tesla. Probably not this year, but by 2030 and whatever else, then I think Rivian should do fairly well. But let me know your thoughts on Rivian in the comments below. What is your thoughts on this news? Do you think that this is absolutely amazing, or do you think that there is some finite strings attached that isn't being disclosed? Because usually with incentives, they have, most of the time at least, there are some certain strings that you just have to be aware of. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying Rivian? Have you been selling? I myself haven't been doing anything with Rivian. I've just been holding my position and sitting tight, just waiting for it to kind of recover. So once again, let me know your thoughts. One final thing, make sure you guys definitely take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the Mag 7. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.